everybody. How are you on this Friday evening? Staying warm, I hope, wherever you're at. It's not been too bad of a day here. Been in the 40s, which is pretty nice. Next week we're going to be in the 50s, so that'll be nice, but I'm always cold. But we woke up to like 7 degrees this morning, so it was a little brisk this morning. But I spent most of my day here in my studio, so I got to sit down and play a little bit. So I hope you all are doing well. Are you ready for this one? I am so ready for this one. I loved doing it. Just a fun project. Now don't forget, you can grab your free line drawing for this at lonnalamb.com. It has the line drawing, a picture, and a list of the paints that I use. But you can use any paints that you want. You can use watercolor paints, you can use acrylic paints, whatever colors you want to use. You can use the media line paints from the fluid acrylics from DecoArc, because they are beautiful pigmented paints. The paints I'm using tonight are DecoArc Traditions paints, one of my absolute favorite paints to use, and they have great pigment in them too. So I am so happy to have you guys here. Well, hi Marilyn. Hi Sue. Oh, thank you so much, Marilyn. I appreciate that. Appreciate you all so much. Hello, Charlene. Good to have you here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put myself up in the corner so we can get going on this project here. Well, maybe I'm going to put myself in the corner. Okay, so here's what we're painting tonight. And I have painted this on a canvas. It's a 6x12 canvas panel. And I really enjoyed doing this technique on the canvas. It's kind of almost a watercolory technique. I do kind of start it out more as watercolor type painting, but I'm not a watercolor artist, so I can't atone to it being anything like watercolor painting. I just know how I started it. So it was a lot of fun. So easy. So this is on a 6x12 canvas. Now, if you got the line drawing, you notice that the line drawing goes like this, with this one on top of this one. When I put my line drawing on my canvas here, I was talking to someone on the phone. I was not paying attention which way I had my line drawing turned, so it got this direction on the canvas, which is fine. I just went ahead and worked with it that way. So to get my word love down here, I just flipped it over and then lined up with, the end of my balloon here, and then did my word down that way. Doesn't matter which direction you go. This one has it the opposite direction. This is just a page out of my art journal. So you can see this one is behind instead of on top like this one, so it's flipped. It's actually the way that I drew it instead of the way that I painted it. So I'll be painting it this way tonight because, again, I drew it on another canvas. I just drew it the same way that I had here, so I could be painting it the same way as the one that you saw the picture of. But it doesn't matter which way you go with it. Either way will be perfectly fine. So, yeah. So if you grabbed that free line drawing, just when you look at it, it's like, well, that doesn't look like hers. No, it doesn't. You're going to have to flip it over to make it look like mine. So that's why it's like that. All right, I'm going to move these over to the side because I'm going to be doing some splattering later, and I don't want to get splatters all over it. So I've already got my line drawing on here. Now, after I put my line drawing on, I went ahead and applied a wash of white over my line drawing to set it down in there and kind of push it back into the background so that, we don't have to worry about any of those graphite lines blending in with our paint or smearing or anything like that. You can erase them back to where they're lighter, and that's what I used to do until I realized if I'm painting on a white background, I'm just going to whitewash over it and set it in there. I can still see all my lines just fine. Hi Veronica, how are you tonight? Hi, Sue. Good to have you here. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to be using my Traditions paints, and the list of paints is on the website in the free packet. But like I said, you can use whatever colors you want. I've got Naphthol Red, Hansa Yellow Medium, Cerulean Blue, Aquamarine, Dioxazine Purple, Phthalo Blue Green, Medium Green. This one is Yellow Oxide. That's black. I'll need a little bit of black later. And I believe this one's Sap Green. Yep. Any colors you want to use, you can use. So feel free. I'm just going to use random brushes. These are the brushes I think I used on my first one. So I've got them here. These are brushes, new brushes that were sent to me by Dynasty. They're good for watercolor or acrylic paints. They're very soft bristled, so they're a little bit different for me to work with. A little bit softer than my other synthetic brushes that I use, so it's nice to try something different. Okay, let me grab my brush here. Alright. These lines here that I drew on right here, you can just put on with a chalk pencil or a watercolor pencil so that they fade into the background. You actually don't have to have them on there at all. I didn't have them on when I originally painted it. I just took my damp brush before the paint dried and lifted the paint off so that I would have those white areas for my bold highlights on here. Okay, so you know, if you don't want to put those lines on there, you don't have to. You can create them on there before the paint dries, and if you don't get them on there like you like them, you can just come back and paint white paint on them. On this one, I didn't get the paint lifted as well as I wanted, so I just came back and put some white paint on there. So it's just easy enough to get those without worrying about adding those lines in there if you don't want them on there. I have them for your benefit on there. I'm going to leave my, I'm doing a wood surface tonight, so we'll see how it goes on a wood surface. I'm going to leave it flat on my easel for now till I get my first layer on, because my first layer is going to be really wet. Because I'm going to try and mimic a little bit of watercolor. But then again, I'm not a watercolor artist. So I'm going to put some water in here, and it's not going to soak into this wood. So I will have to, you know, wipe some of it back. I just want to put it on this heart right here. We're going to work one at a time. I'm going to tilt it into the light so I can see if my water is very runny. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, so I'm going to add some water here, and I'm just using these little palette trays here because I want to keep my paint a little bit more contained tonight. I do sell these on my website. You can get them also at the Dollar Tree. The ones at the Dollar Tree are not as heavy as these. Mine are pretty thick plastic. The ones at the Dollar Tree are a little bit lighter weight, but will still work just fine. So, and I do have, like I said, I have these on my website. So I'm just going to create a wash here in my red paint, and the amount of paint that I have out here is way more than I'm going to need. I can probably do 4 or 5 paintings with how much paint I have here. But it's really hard to squirt out just a small little amount out of those bottles. So I'm already splattering in the background, which is fine. Like I said, wood is different. Paper was different. The canvas was different. I really enjoyed painting it on the canvas. So I just want you to use whatever you want to use. This would make a really super cute card. Alright, I do have a lot of water here. And like I said, this is wood, and because I've got paint on it already, it is not going to push down into my surface. It's going to stay on top. So I'm getting some of this bright yellow here. And I'm going to get a little bit of that paint off my brush and pick up some water. And I'm going to create a yellowy orange area over here on this side. And I did not worry about how messy the blend was when I painted mine. I just kind of went for it. And I just kind of let it do its own thing. I didn't stress out too much about how it looked because I was having so much fun painting this. All right, that's our first layer on a red one, okay? We're gonna come in now and we can do the blue or the purple one, it doesn't matter. I am going to dampen my heart a little bit. I probably won't try and have as much water on here as I had on the red heart. Tilt it so I can see how it looks. Take my brush and remove a little bit of that water. All right, so we're going to use the blues here. We're going to use this aquamarine, the cerulean, and the phthalo blue-green. If you're using Americana paints, I didn't really look to see what conversion would be for these colors. I mean, they're just really whatever colors you want to choose. So I would say you may not even want your hearts to be the colors that I have painted mine. So, but this one's kind of like a desert turquoise, this one right here. So I want to put this in the center. Rinse a little bit of that out. Let's get a little bit of water in this one. Our first layers are going to be rough looking. So this is a darker blue. This is cerulean blue. I love this blue, but I also love that aquamarine blue. These are my absolute favorite paints. I just love them so much. If you have an opportunity to get some, there is a coupon code down below. I think DecoArt is having a big sale right now, though. So use the link if you want to use the link, and you get 20% off your total order as long as it's not on sale. All right, let's get some of this phthalo green here. This is a bright green blue. So pretty. And I'll have some drying time going on here in a little bit, so that'll be a good time to ask any questions if you have some questions. I want to lift a little bit of paint from here. I just want a little highlight right there. I'm not sure I can lift any here. It's not quite dry, so I could lift a little bit there. I just want a little kind of shine there. I don't want anything serious. I mean, just a little hint of a highlight. Okay, let's go here and get this one damp. Our first layers, we're going to lay water down. And like I said, on the canvas, it just took everything so beautifully. It's not doing too bad here on this wood, but I do have to make sure I don't have puddles of water, because it wants to stand more on top on the wood. I'm going right up to my lines here. And a little bit past out here. I'm going to take that water out because I don't want my paint to come out past that. All right, so over here I used some dioxazine purple, and it is a very potent bright color, so I'm really going to thin a little bit of that down with some water. Still pretty bright, so I just wiped some of it off on my paper towel so I didn't have quite so much here. Valentine's Day is our anniversary, And we'll be celebrating our 44th anniversary on Valentine's Day. I'm going to take some of this off right here where I got it outside my heart shape. Just a little bit of that. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of red to my purple here. So I'm going to put red over here. A little bit more water. I want this side to be a little bit thinner, a little bit more red. Too purpley. A little bit more red. Just going to messily blend that. I don't really care what the first layers look like. And, you know, they all look different. Nothing, no two will look the same. So don't try to paint it like I paint it. All right, we're going to paint all the little hearts in while this is sort of drying, and then we'll take our heat tool and dry it some more. But before we do that, I want to add some color down here on the little tied ends that come on the balloon. So I want a little wash of purple. Down there. And then this one will get a little bit of red. And then a little bit of any of your blues, you know, your cerulean blue or your aquamarine, it doesn't matter. Okay, now we can work on our hearts. Now all of my hearts that are out and around everything, oops, I just painted all of them but this one in. I painted this one orange. The rest of them I just painted red. Because when I started, I thought, well, I'll do some red, I'll do some orange, I'll do some blue. And then I thought, no, I want to keep all them little hearts red. So I do have an orange one here, but I am going to paint them all red. So I'm just going to load my little brush up with some red and paint these in. And I don't want you to worry about being even remotely perfect on this. Because this is just a fun kind of whimsical piece and kind of loose style of painting. Your heart, you know, red hearts can be as bold and bright as you want them to be. Now I didn't put all the grasses and everything at the bottom because when I originally designed this, it was just going to be the balloons. And then I thought, well, I'm going to add the grasses. And then I thought, well, some people might not like the grasses, so they're not on the line drawing, but I will show you how super easy all that is. So if you want to add it, you can. Okay. Red, red, red. All right, I'm going to dry this. While I'm driving it, I will look for questions. Hi, Cindy from Ohio. Maryland. My anniversary is February 20th. And the 54th. Wow, 54th. I had to ask my husband the other day, what anniversary are we celebrating? Because, you know, I can never keep it, remember which one it is. So, I had to ask him the other day. Veronica, I missed the beginning. Are you using acrylics or watercolor paints? I am using acrylics. I am using Traditions acrylics, but you can use Americana acrylics, you can use tube acrylics, whatever you want to do. I did start out using like a watercolory type technique. So with my first layer here, all right, we want to make sure it's dry because it will lift so quickly if it's not. Dry, dry, dry. It's very important. Okay, it feels pretty dry. We don't want it to be warm. I can tilt it up now because my next layer is going to be, it's going to be thin, but it's not going to be watery like this because I'm not going to apply water first. So I'm just going to thin my paint with some water. We're going to go do those same colors so you can see how much more bold this color is now. You could start out with just straight acrylic paint, but I think I need a little bit more water here. I don't want it to be quite so. I'm not trying to make it look like it's painted with acrylic paints. So I am using a little bit of water to spread things around and keep it a not heavy layer of paint. Okay, let's go into some of this yellow. And we'll get this in right here. Still want to keep that area a little light right there. And I want that orange to blend into that red. I don't want to try and remove that now that I put paint over it. And I want the more kind of choppy look on this. I don't want the smooth stuff. I think the choppy way that I painted the first one really is what gave it so much more character. I keep covering over that little place that I want to make a little bit lighter. Okay, let's move down to our blue one, and I'm going to start with the darker color this time. I'm making a almost wash of this paint, but it's not like, it's not a thin, it's not a sheer wash, I guess I should say. This is the cerulean blue. I'm just going to kind of smoothly blend, you know, I'm like laying the side of the brush down and just letting it blend a little bit. And then into our aquamarine. And that is a very opaque color, so I rinsed out my brush and got a little bit of water because I want this color to stay a little bit lighter. So I'm using water, but it's not like watercolor painting. Like I said, I'm not a watercolor artist, so don't be critical of my sort of watercolor painting. It's something I want to learn. I really do, but I am not a watercolor artist. All right, let's move over to our purple one. And we'll get a layer of purple on here. So I'm putting the water in my paint instead of the water on the surface. And let's get a little red on the side. to bring my purple over just a little bit farther on this one. I'm going to be shading with a darker purple down here, so I want to get that a little bit more over into that red. Oh, that looks better. They're looking so cute already. Okay, I got to get this dry. So let me check for questions. And we're going to do our splattering stuff in the background. We're going to work on all this splatter next. Not one of my favorite things to do, but it is very effective. So just want to make sure it's dry, because I am going to put something on top of this. So I took my heart shapes and I cut them out, because when I splatter all over this, I don't want my hearts to get that splatter on them. So I'm going to lay this on top of it. But I want to get a different, something on my table here. So when I make all the mess, I don't have to try and clean it up while I'm showing you how to do it. So I'm just going to lay down one of these heat resistant mats that are very easy to clean. You can buy on Amazon. Move my original out of the way so that I don't splatter all over it. So this will be very easy for me to clean up with a baby wipe or some rubbing alcohol when I'm done. Another option is a brown paper sack. You cut off one side, open it up, put the side you cut off in here. This is actually what I used for my first one. And then you stick your piece in there and splatter away. I don't really like splattering because all of my equipment that is around me and my camera up here, I worry about all the splatter getting on all that stuff, and trying to clean it is not fun. Okay, so I want to splatter with some red, so I'm going to thin some red down a little bit. I've already got it kind of thin here in my little well. And then we'll just start. I'm just tapping the brush with my finger. We'll just start putting this on here, wherever you want it to go, as much as you want. Okay, let's go into some of this blue right here. Either blue, either of these blues will do. I think I need to put just a touch more of that blue in there. Maybe. Okay. That's the hard part, squeezing out just a tiny bit. All right, get some water. We need it to a fluid consistency so it will come off of the brush. Okay. All right, I put some, which yellow did I put on here? Looks like maybe the bright yellow. So let me thin some of this down. You can use whatever colors you want to use. Okay, this one's really splattering. I got way too much water in this one. That kind of went everywhere. And then I used green, which I used my darker green, which is this sap green here. And I do want to make sure I get quite a bit of this down here for when I do my grassy area. And I think that's all the colors I use. I did kind of do a little bit of an orangey color, so mix a little orange up. You don't have to do as much splattering as I did. You don't have to do it at all. Really depends on what you like. Okay, so I have to get this dry before we can move on to other steps. If you want splatters on your balloons as well, wait and do this till after you've got everything painted just like you want it, and then you can splatter it then. All right, let me see if I have any questions. No questions. I'm going to dry this real quick. Well, it probably won't be too quick. Also, I want to tell you, if you've got some spots that are just like, oh, okay, that's way too bright. Of course, I've started drying it. You can dab at it with a paper towel or a wet wipe and lift some of the color off and diffuse the paints a little bit and give it a whole completely different look there. I want my green to stay pretty bold down here at the bottom though. You can always come back and add more if you want more. It's not going to hurt the look of it at all. Hi, Brenda. Well, thank you. I love this fun design too. I just thought it was just so much fun. I like the designs that just kind of flow out of me, you know, and this was one of them. So all right, we want to make sure it's completely dry. It looks pretty dry. I left my heat mat on here, although the ones underneath it, clear ones, are heat resistant as well. Okay, a couple spots still are wet, and I've got a big old blob of water on there. Wet wipe. Right there. Not sure how I did that. Use a damp brush and lift that wet paint that was right there. That was a big old drop. It just wasn't quite dry right there. All right, let's see. Okay, all my big spots look pretty dry. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And bring the easel back in. Start doing some shading on our balloons now. Alright, so I'm just going to use an angle brush. Happy hearts. Yes, they are. Very happy hearts. Okay, I'm just going to use an angle brush, and again, I'm just using these ones that I've been trying out, soft bristles. So I want to shade on my red balloon with, I'm going to mix red with a tiny bit of purple. And we'll also be using a little bit of this color on our purple balloon. And we're just going to shade around this balloon. There, so I'll have to remove that. Let me grab a damp brush and see if I can lift that paint out of there. I was able, I believe I said that at the beginning, to lift my paint off of the canvas panel with a damp brush when I painted over my areas that I wanted to have a Okay, so I'm going to take this color and go around the outside of my balloon. But I'm going to stay just slightly to the inside of it. I want to go right next to that. Okay, right there. I can see on this wood piece that as I paint on it, if my paint is still wet, it is lifting the paint, so I have to be a little careful. I'm going to wipe a little bit of that off. I want it to be not quite so dark here. Okay, that kind of gives the balloon a little thickness. You know how those how the balloons are when they blow them up, they look a little thick. All right, let's work on the purple one here. And I'm doing purple with just a little bit of red. I just added a little bit more purple into that mix that I just used on my red one. And again, I want to create that thickness here. Need to bring this up higher, but I'm going to have to wait for that to dry so that I can bring that color up a little bit more darkness over here. So we will come back and do a second layer on that. We'll do a second floating on all of them. The highlights are already there. So the only thing with the highlights is that if they are not shaped the way that you want them to be, to add some white paint. All right, over here in my blue one, I'm going to take that green and I'm going to add, I can't remember what color I used. Well, a little bit of red is going to make that a darker color, so we'll just go with that. Maybe we'll go with that. Phthalo blue green. And then we'll go around the edge of this one. Weird shaped. Oh, they're looking so cute. So cute. Alright, I'm going to take my little brush and do a little shading down here on this area. So we want it dark right where it comes from the balloon. You know, because those are all bunched up together and tied in a knot. And then we've got a little kind of like fold here. Or we can kind of see inside where it's all tied up in a knot. And then we'll get some more red here. The red and purple mixed together, and we'll do the red balloon. And inside the red balloon knot thing there. And then that green color. Mix a little bit of red with it. That just kind of dirties up the color a little bit. And that got a big old splatter on it, so it's this one's really thick knotted right there. Okay, so that's got the little knot on there. You can always take your baby wipe and remove any kind of paint that you don't want to have on there. All right, we got to get these dry. One more shading float on them. And then we can go down and work on our grassy areas. Now this is why I love the Traditions paints, because the colors are so vibrant. I just love them. My favorite acrylic paints. They're medium body, artist grade paint. Love, love, love. Okay, so let's do our purple and red. And I want to get a little bit wetter of a float so I can go a little bit wider with it. Get it a little bit darker over here. Painting my highlight, so I'm going to try and lift that. Okay, that looks pretty good there. I'm going to grab more purple. And this time I'm going to add a tiny little bit of black in there. That's really going to deepen my purple. And we'll get this up here into the balloon a little bit. Needs a little bit more toning on the red here. So pretty. Now on this one, I did add a tiny little bit of the aquamarine right in here. It doesn't really show up a ton on the purple. But since I put it on my original one, I'll go ahead and put a little bit in here. Aquamarine is very opaque color, so it tends to really stay on top. I like it more in with the blue than I do in with the red. So I'm going to have to bring some of my white paint in and work that into that. So aquamarine, you know, that putting that blue on there, that's an option. You know, if it's not something that you like, then certainly don't do it. Okay, this one just needs a little bit of darkening here at the bottom with that red and phthalo blue green. I'm going to go down onto my knot there. And I just want to work this up into the... See, I'm going to have to do my white highlight there. I've kind of obliterated that little white highlight right there. So I just needed a little darkness there. And then we can put a little bit here for a shadow maybe off of that balloon. And get a little shadow there. Super cute, super cute. All right, let me dry it because I want to put my white highlight back in there. Kind of lost it a little bit. That one could actually be much thinner than what it is, but I'm going to leave it. That one could be wider. I might widen it. We'll see. So I didn't put any white paint out, so let me put some out. Okay. And I'm just going to fix this little highlight right here. I like it a little bit better when I don't have to touch it up with some white paint, but it looks like I got paint in all of them, so I'm going to touch all of them up. Cute. Okay, and then this one here that I completely lost. Okay, there's our highlights. I mean, highlights are what really makes this come to life, I feel like. I love it. I love it. Okay, I want to go down and do our little grassy areas here. I'm going to lay it back down for that. Okay, so I just used a little flat brush. Now, I did it two different ways, so I'm going to bring them out here and show you. This one, I just loosely put some washes, like it's distant stuff back in there, you know, and I wasn't too careful about them. I just put them in there, varying places, varying colors. If they were too dark, I took my baby wipe and wiped it back. And this one, I used the chisel edge of the brush and created more grass-like look. I kind of like the more grass-like look, but I do like how washed out that is right there, because, you know, I want my balloons to be the focal point. So I think I'm going to do the more grassy type stuff on this one. And I used my greens. So we've got medium green, sap green, and phthalo green blue, and then I also used this yellow oxide here. So those are the colors we're going to use down here. I did kind of dampen it just a little bit, not a lot of water, just a little bit. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to, if you just want to go straight into your paint. And then I just started with, and there's already water in my paint, so I really probably didn't need to do that. So I'm just going to go in here and start just adding some grassy stuff kind of coming up. Just, there's nothing to it. I'm going to switch colors now and go into some of my medium green here. This one we haven't used yet, so it's a pretty bright color. You're going to get some blending here with these other green, with this other green. Okay, I do need to bring some up a little bit higher. Some of that's not quite high. Let's see. I did use some of this phthalo green blue here. Okay, and then a little bit of the yellow oxide. And it's going to blend with some of these other paints as well. So it's going to change the color of it a little bit. So all three of mine are going to look completely different. So if it's more color than you want, you can, if it's wet, like mine is really wet, you can take a paper towel and press it on there and remove some of that off of there. You can also take a baby wipe and dab at it, and that's my favorite way. It's gonna lift some of the paint off of there and kind of wash it out a little bit. So there's no right or wrong. Just if you like the way you painted it, then just go with the way that you painted it. All right, we got to make sure everything is completely dry because we're getting ready to do the inking. And then we'll have a couple of things to paint after the inking. You just want to make sure everything is dry, because if our paint is not dry, we'll clog up our pen, we'll completely ruin our pen. So we must have dry paint. So take your time and completely dry that paint. Okay, now the other thing is to make sure that it is completely cool before you apply your paint or your pen. Okay, the heat will also dry out your pen, and then your pen won't work. Okay, so you can use a micron pen. If you have an 05 or an 08, those are the sizes that I would recommend. 0.45 millimeter and 0.5 millimeter. And, you know, that size. Where did I put my pens? You can also use a DeliMate pen. I do have the DeliMate and the IdentiPen on my website. The DeliMate is 0.5 millimeter, and the micron is 0.4 millimeter. So you have options. These are all permanent, and they won't bleed with paint or water. So even if you varnish this afterwards, as long as, I mean, the pen dries very quickly. It's all good. You don't have to worry about it. They don't bleed with paint or water. Okay, so when I did this, because I wanted it more playful, I outlined my hearts like 3 times, and I tried not to make it perfect. I did not want perfect, okay? Even my little bitty hearts, I just did them a couple times, but not perfect. So we do not want anything perfect here. So we're just going to start outlining our hearts just a couple times, our little ones. And you can add more hearts to your background if you want to. Okay, that was kind of a weird little line there. And I'm being loose. I'm going out past my hearts. Okay, they're all very, very loosely done. But I think it has a big impact. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing around our heart. Okay, 3 very loose lines there. You can add more than 3 if you want more than 3. Also go around your tied part of your balloons a couple times. There is nothing perfect about this, okay? we've outlined our hearts, easy peasy. We're going to go down here and do our strings. Okay. This one, our love string. Can't really see where the end of it is. I made little heart loops in the strings. Okay. And we've got these flower things at the bottom. So these are kind of optional for you if you want them or not. I'm going to try and draw them on like I did my original one here and see if I can get them up here. So we got, I just made some loops coming off. You can do 4, 5, 6, whatever you want. Got one coming over here. One here. So they can have as many loops on them as you want. We're going to add some strings coming off those little hearts like they're baby balloons that haven't fully developed yet. I think that's all that I have there. I'm going to bring some strings down from these hearts. It's okay if they go through your words and all that stuff up there, you know, doesn't matter. Okay, and then I took my pen and just kind of scuffed some stuff coming through down here. I just let the pen just kind of loosely leave some extra stuff in here. You know, fill it in a little bit more is all I was doing there. Okay, we got a little bit more painting to do down here. So we're going to do our little flower things that we just painted in here. My balloons look so dimensional. Yes, don't they look dimensional? It's that shading and highlighting, I'm telling you. It's what makes it just pop. Nancy came in late. Had a little surprise nap. Oh, well, that's always fun. A little surprise nap. I'm not a napper. My husband is a napper. I am not a napper. Doesn't matter how bad I have slept the night before, I cannot nap, no matter what. So I'm just putting a thin little layer of paint in here. Let's do some red ones. You know, thin down your paint a little bit. It doesn't have to be straight paint. It's going to match the painting a little bit more if it's not straight paint. So I'm using red and that teal. And this one I made red. You can use purple. I'm going to use a little bit of this sappy green color. And do a couple in green. They don't all have to be the colors that we used on the balloons. I think I need to draw another one in here. To my bright yellow here. Okay, that's got lots of water. And we'll make our couple of yellow ones. Oh, that's got a little bit of orange in it. That's fun. Yellow. It's not going to show up too well right there on top of that green, but let's see. I'm trying to make them the same as my original. So let me just fling it right off the easel here. I don't really know which color blue I used there. And then that one should have been green and this one red, so I'm going to turn them around backwards. And make this one green. You know, and you can obviously put way more in there than I've done. I was trying to keep it the same as my original one. Let me lay this flat. I want to do some floating along the bottom here to kind of set the grasses, give it its finished, polished look. This is an incredibly fast project because I wanted something that was not perfect. I didn't want perfect paint anywhere. So this is all kind of, you know, slip-slappy almost. Very loose painting. Doesn't blend together everywhere. Alright, so down here I'm going to take this dark green. That's very hot, so I need to let it cool. And I'm going to mix a little bit of black in there with it, or a lot of black. That's a lot of black. And make a very dark green. Hang this off the edge so I don't get paint all over my easel base. And we're just going to paint the bottom down here and kind of set all those grasses. It needs to come up a little bit higher. A little bit higher on top of those grasses right there. Okay, I'm not sure that worked out as well as what I would like. Coming up for that shading at the bottom there. I'm gonna find some place to set that where it won't fall over. I'm gonna dry this real quick. I think that's going to just about finish this project. Let me bring the other ones in here. So I only used 4 brushes for this. Well, tonight, I don't know how many brushes I used the other day. I guess however many I listed, because I do list the brushes that I use. All right, we got this one. This one's my original one. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. And then this is the one I did on my art journal page. Ah, love them all. So, so pretty. So pretty. Original, one we did tonight, art journal. So, yeah, this one was fun and fast, you guys. Fun and fast. So I hope you guys are going to paint this. Please be sure and give me a thumbs up for this video. And let me just mention, the longer that you watch my videos and the more you comment on my videos, you know, even my recorded ones, that helps me move up a little bit in the YouTube algorithm. So always be sure and watch as long as you can. And please be sure and comment and give me a thumbs up. So that is it for this one, you guys. What do you think? Do you like it? This was so much fun. Veronica, thank you so much. Thank you, Ruby. So cute. These are very pretty. Thank you. Thank you, Marie and Brenda. Yeah, they are fun, fast, and easy. Easy, easy peasy. So a quick, cute little Valentine that you can paint up for anybody, or just if you like to decorate for Valentine's Day in your house. Your balloons are your balloons, so make them whatever color that you want to make them. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Make sure I don't have any questions from anybody. You're so welcome, Sue. Thank you so very much for being here. Sue Potts and Sue Cray, thank you very much. Appreciate it, you guys. Appreciate you all being here. It means a lot to me when you're here to watch me paint or even paint along with me. So I know I'm a fast painter, but this one is a fast project. So fun, so fun. Oh, just love it, just love it. All right, anything else? Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sue. You're so welcome. I always enjoy and love sharing and painting with you guys. I mean, really, it's the one thing that really brightens my day. It's like, oh, I get to do a YouTube live tonight. I'm always excited to do them because it just, it's fun for me. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, well, I think that's going to be it for this one, you guys. Not sure what my next one will be. I just finished a project with birds, so I hope to have that up on my website soon. And I put a couple of new things on my website, so go over to Lonna Lamb, check it out while you're there, getting your free line drawing for this one. And I'll be sure and see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. I appreciate you so much. Bye-bye.